What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, April the 16th, and yes, of course, that does mean it's time for my news radar. I just love weird phones. I mean, clearly, I think there's a Surface Duo visible over my shoulder. There's a Galaxy Z Fold 2 here in my hand. Palm Pre was a phone I've owned. I've talked about this in the past. I love weird phones. So I'm really excited to see more companies making weird phones. We've talked about Xiaomi's Mi Mix Fold in the past because he just announced it. And I did kind of a breakdown of like the screen, the size and everything. Well, now we've got a proper look here from XDA developers. I love this article. It's a great article. I'm so happy someone's done this already. And it's showing you the Mi Mix Fold, the Z Fold 2, and Huawei's Mate X2 as well, all side by side. So you can kind of just see them all, the gamut of folding phones that you can kind of just buy now. So let's jump over here to this article. And the first thing you see here up at the top is this image. And that, I just love it. I don't know why. It makes me happy, but it does. So chat, if you're going from left to right, so I'm going to just highlight here. When I say left, I mean this, because I'm looking at that. That's left. That should be your left as well, if I understand how images work. That is the Xiaomi Mi Mix Fold, okay? And we talked about this already in the other video, a week ago. Shane told you about this. The Mi Mix Fold has an even more narrow and even taller screen than the Z Fold 2. The width is basically the same, but you get more pixels height-wise, which, is going to mean a couple of things. I mean, like the most obvious thing to me is that, like, if you're single-handing this thing and you want to try to like reach up to get to your notification shade, like you're just gonna have to do this weird like hand wobble and then get up there to it. I mean, look, you're just gonna have to use your other hand to reach up there. Or if Xiaomi has something like what Samsung has, they've got a one-handed mode, and there you go, shrinking on down, and then I can pretty easily get to my notifications. Maybe they're gonna have something like that, maybe not. I know a lot of you guys absolutely despise this screen. In fact, some of you have called it useless, which I think might reveal to me that maybe you don't know what the word useless means. And I'm going to break it down for you here real quick. Useless means without a use. There's no use for it. And I'm going to share. Okay, here you go. Here's my Z Fold 2, and I'm going to open up Twitter, and I'm going to scroll through Twitter. That's one use. It's not useless. So that's a silly thing. Obviously, I'm kind of joking. But on the Mi Mix Fold, it's even taller. So if you're bothered by this aspect ratio, you'll be even more bothered by it on Xiaomi's device. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm of two minds about it, because I thought I would really dislike how skinny the Z Fold 2 screen is, but I'm really not that bothered by it. In fact, I probably use this skinny little screen about half the time. I play Pokemon Go with it even, and it's fine. I just kind of have adjusted to it. But now, look, don't get me wrong. When I want to get something done, there's this great thing where there's a giant screen on the inside that you can turn sideways and split screen things, and it's basically like having a Surface Duo mostly. So I think you're going to do the same thing with the Mi Mix Fold. You're going to just do basic, simple things on there, and you're going to be scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, etc. on that exterior screen, and you're going to use the big screen most of the time. Then, of course, we have the Huawei Mate X2 over there, just making the other two look bad, because it just looks like a regular old screen on the front of that thing, right? It looks fantastic. You have two selfie cameras in the front. I think I'm right about that. I think it is two. Maybe it's one and like a depth sensor or something. I don't know. Kill me in the comments, I guess. But that looks really good. But then you also have to remember, we're like $3,000, $2,000, and then like $1,500 or something like that on the Mi Mix Fold. So like, is it worth it to like go up by a third to get that wider screen? Maybe not. And then of course, look, if the outer screen is taller or wider or whatever, when you open it, it's gonna change the inner screen too, and they've got that covered here as well. So now we have the Mi Mix Fold, the Z Fold 2, and the Mate X2. And what you're gonna notice here is that the Xiaomi device is taller that way as well. So is that something that you're going to want? I mean, look, if you rotate it sideways and you split screen it, well, maybe that's going to make two even wider screens that might be closer to the Duo than what you have on the Z Fold 2, which is actually, I believe I did the math, 14% narrower when you do split screen and you assume like you've got two screens, it is slightly more narrow when you're doing that kind of comparison. And then on the Mate X2, you've almost got just a perfect square. It's less 4x3 like you have on the Z Fold, and is just more like 1x1. It's much closer to that. So that's another thing to consider. And we've talked, obviously we've talked about the Mi Mix Fold a little bit, so I'm not going to, stay on this for too awful long, but the specs are very good. I mean, it's a Snapdragon 888. You've got a minimum of 12 gigs of RAM, a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which is really good. Super fast 65 watt charging is very good. 108 megapixel camera sensor, which, theoretically should be very good as well. I also really like the back side of it here. It says innovation for everyone on the back of the Mi Mix Fold. And I've saw some people in comments saying, innovation, they just copied the Z Fold 2. Well, again, I feel like words and their meanings, people may be missing them a little bit, so I'm going to try to help you out here. There's more than just, it doesn't just say innovation, this is innovation for everyone. So what they're saying is, this is an innovative design. They're not saying we made it. They're saying this is like a new design, but we're making it for everyone. We're making it cheaper. And I think that you can't really argue that they're not doing that. They're trying to make it there for everyone. As we can see here, Huawei's Mate X2 is priced at $2,700 compared to Xiaomi's device at $1,500. 27, 15, 2015. Okay, so innovation for everyone. I did also find this very interesting too. Let me blow this up as well. This is the gap between the hinges. And I was wondering if the Xiaomi device would have less of a gap there. And the answer is no, it does not. It looks virtually identical, if not maybe bigger. It's hard to say there, but it's definitely not smaller. And you can see just the edge here of the Huawei device. And the gap is pretty much non-existent there because it just seems to be a better piece of hardware, if I'm being honest. And then they do have a breakdown here of the camera's performance. And look, just looking at some of these sample photos, there's definitely nothing here that I'm going to poo-poo and say this looks bad. I mean, these photos look really good. You can go to xda-developers.com and you can find this article and you can look at these pictures yourself. But I think that generally speaking, I mean, they look really good to me. I would be pretty happy with that camera. I think the biggest takeaway, though, is that, you are going to have the capability of buying a really cool folding smartphone with top-end specs, $1,500 when you translate that to, American dollar monies. And that's cool. So on the Chromebook side of the world, there's some interesting things going on here. And I've got an article from Chrome Unboxed, which is a good website and probably a better YouTube channel. And the headline reads, NVIDIA RTX graphics in a Chromebook? Yes, please. I think that's how you legally have to read that. We have a bit of a press release here, right? It says, in PCs, NVIDIA is working with MediaTek, the world's largest supplier of smartphone chips, which may be a surprise to some of you because I think everyone just thinks Qualcomm is like it. MediaTek makes low-end chips. Well, is that fair? They make, yeah, I guess it is. They make kind of low-end chips for like basic smartphones, and they're really popular in other regions, like where, cheaper smartphones are really popular. So MediaTek is a huge company. So anyways, they're working with MediaTek to create a new class of notebooks powered by an ARM-based CPU along with an NVIDIA RTX GPU. The notebooks will use ARM cores and NVIDIA graphics to give consumers energy-efficient portables with no compromised media capabilities based on a reference platform that supports Chromium, Linux, and NVIDIA SDKs. Okay, this is pretty wild actually, and I'm really excited about this. So right now with, this ARM stuff, Apple's M1, you've got the SQ line that is in the Surface Pro X and things like that. And all of these companies are basically just making their own GPU sort of integrated in there in some way. And, look, it's fine, but it's nothing like revolutionary, right? So the ARM processor that is in, let's say the Apple M1, is very fast, and it's capable of some gaming, but it's not fair to say that it would replace a proper gaming laptop. And I know that's a weird comparison because it's not intended to be. What I'm getting at here is that with ARM-based computers, the GPU is lagging way behind. The CPU is very fast. The benchmarks on the CPUs are doing really good numbers with really high efficiency. But the GPUs have been kind of an afterthought. If MediaTek can partner with NVIDIA and get some RTX graphics there with that MediaTek ARM processor, that's a very cool thing. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot to report here because we don't know how long this is going to take, what kind of timeline you've got going here. And of course, we're talking about Linux, Chromium, things like that at first. But things have to start somewhere. So just a cool thing to be watching out for. NVIDIA taking an interest in ARM. And last but not least, I have a little teaser video from TCL. I want to preface this in this way. This phone will never be released. You will never be able to buy this thing. It is nothing more than a concept. But it is one of the coolest and dumbest concepts I have ever seen. So I want to show it to you. And this is on Twitter. This is the teaser for the TCL Fold and Roll, which is, I mean, look, if that was a real device, good God, what a name. Anything that's got an apostrophe in it just immediately puts me off. Fold and Roll, just not a great name. But wait till you see this thing. So you start off here with this trippy Inception world. I don't know what's going on here. It's just Inception this part, I guess. And then, oh my God, it's the screen and it's folding. It's a folding device. And look, it's an outer fold. This looks like the Huawei Mate X1, right? Like, not a big deal. TCL's made, but what's this? Looks like something else is happening here as well. Looks like not just that it's folding, well, it's the fold and roll, and that's exactly what makes this thing so wild. So you got a phone, opens up now, it's a phablet, which is a word I've not heard in a long time. I want to watch this thing, bigger screen, it slides out like a rolling phone, boom, there you go. You got 3 different size devices in one. Stupid, weird, insane, never going to be released. Really cool, and I love seeing this kind of stuff, even if it isn't ever going to be released. So guys, that's all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the next news radar, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.